Hello everybody, my name is Daniel Souza, and first of all I want to thank the people who helped me to produce this video. And so this video aims just the reflection about one topic, one very important topic nowadays and also in other dates before. And so I hope you like it, and let's go. When I see the black screen or black background on Facebook, I have different feelings. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that is very important for us, and it relates also, of course, musicality and dance, but everybody knows that it's much more than that. Some weeks ago we saw a lot of protests, so worldwide, against structural racism and police violence in the US because of the murder of Mr. George Floyd. These protests are against the violence against black people, but also police violence and the silence of many people before that. So they say the silence of many white people, but I say the silence of everybody, because everybody has to talk about that. In Brazil, where I come from, this kind of cases come every day since many years and decades. And for many people, it became so imperative to talk about it and to protest against it. I mean, to support the fight against the racism. Social media flooded with people flooding Angela Davis when she said that Black Lives Matter. And this may be also honest from the people, but rarely people show that at home. One day a friend of mine asked me, isn't it more difficult and more dangerous to show your opinion about that in Germany than in Brazil? Because Brazil has a slavery until 2 centuries ago, but this I will talk about it later on the video. And that's why now I take you to a very small trip to Brazil, but not in a very positive way. The biggest problem of the racism in Brazil is denying it. University quotas or affirmative actions, people have different opinions about it. But the racial problem will never be solved by the quotas only. We had in Brazil more than 300 years of slavery, and the abolition of it was just on the May 13th of 1888. That means just 132 years ago. Brazil was the last country to end the slavery, and ended up without any politics and any policies about including these slaves or these ex-slaves into the society and in economy. During many years, black people stayed on the margin of the society and had less access to education or good jobs or actions that generate equality. People in Brazil grow up committing a lot of racist insults. These people don't know what they are saying anyway, but the lack of access hurt more there. 50% of the country is black, but the biggest inequality is, of course, on the access to important positions on the governmental companies or media or history books or films. That's called institutional racism. Many Brazilians think that if the people talk about it in Brazil, they are committing reverse racism because they are victimizing themselves. Are you surprised when you see an Obama as a president? Are you surprised when you see Oprah Winfrey being a billionaire woman? So she was the only billionaire woman between 2004 and 2006. Are you surprised when you see people begging for money at the streets and they have blonde hair or blue eyes or white skin or something like that, and you think she shouldn't or he shouldn't be begging for money? If you answered yes for one of these questions, you should review your point of view. How would you feel in this situation? You are a male police chief in Brazil and you are in front or at the door of your police station. Your skin color is black and two women come in your police station. One of them is also black as you and asks you, I want to talk to the police chief. And you answer, I am the police chief, lady. And the lady repeats, I want to talk to the police chief for this station. And he answers again, I am the police chief. What can I do for you? She insists and asks again, no, my son, I want to talk to the police chief. And he says for the last time, I am the police chief. What can I do for you? And the lady turns and say, oh, hallelujah. Thank God that some black people is here. And she shows to the white woman and says, now you're gonna see so what I'm talking about and what you want to pay for your insults against me. This story is a mix of racist insults from all sides, except of course from the police chief. But it's unfortunately an everyday thing in Brazil. I think it's definitely not just about black or white people. It's also about radical and moderate, rich and poor, intelligent and dumb, Nazis and Jews, generals and population, old and young, and much more things. Let's make a break on this position here and talk about these names. I just want to read the names for you. George Perry Floyd, 46 years old, murdered by a violent police arrest. Miguel Otávio Santana da Silva, 5 years old, was prevented by his mother's boss, rich white lady, to stay near his mother, black housemaid, and fell from the 9th floor. Cláudia Silva Ferreira, 38 years old, dragged for more than 1 kilometer by a police car. Bianca Regina de Oliveira, 22 years old, shot in the head while sleeping at home in Cidade de Deus, Rio de Janeiro. Marielle Franco, 38 years old, 4 shots in the head in her own car. Pedro Gonzaga, 19 years old, died asphyxiated in a supermarket by the security staff. Ana Carolina de Souza Neves, 8 years old, death by a stray bullet to the head, shot in her own home in Belfort Roxo, Rio de Janeiro. Roberto de Souza, 16 years old, Carlos Eduardo da Silva Souza, 16 years old, Clayton Correa de Souza, 18 years old, Wesley Castro, 20 years old, Wilton Esteves Domingos Jr., 20 years old, all 5 killed driving back from the Parque de Madureira in Rio, and police officers fired at the car 111 times. Cauê dos Santos, 12 years old, shot in the head on his way home during military police operation in Rio de Janeiro. João Pedro, 14 years old, death by a rifle shot on the back by the police. Luana Barbosa, 34 years old, beat to the death by military policemen around the corner of her home in Ribeirão Preto, Brazil. The 14-year-old son saw the whole thing. Rodrigo Siqueira, 19 years old, shot during distribution of food supplies. Marcos Vinicius, 14 years old, shot in the stomach by Rio's military police in Complexo da Maré on his way to school wearing a uniform. Agatha Felix, 8 years old, shot in the back by Rio's military police on her way home with her mother in Complexo do Alemão in Rio. David Nascimento dos Santos, 23 years old, found shot after being placed in a police car while waiting for food delivery in Areião Favela, São Paulo. Evaldo dos Santos, 51 years old, assassinated by Brazilian army, who fired over 80 rifle shots on his car, where he and his family were, and many more victims of violence. There is a culture of housekeepers in Brazil. And on this quarantine, there are a lot of famous people in Brazil cleaning their homes and putting it online. When you see celebrities cleaning their homes, other people in normal times work at their homes. We remember that while many people complain about working at home, being a housekeeper is basically having your office in someone else's home. And people complain a lot about home office. This is a large community in Brazil, and 80% of this workforce is black, almost all women. During the pandemic, the racism that exists in this relationship is more evident, of course. One of the things that quarantine showed them is that work at home or cleaning home has to do or can be done with better tools, like good cleaning products or better gadgets. For example, the sale of upright vacuum cleaners since April increased like 50%. And that shows that when black people do the domestic work, many people don't even notice that it can be easier done with better and quality products. When bosses begin to do the work, they think about ways to do it easier and less tiring. Many people, so kids, women in some countries, are harassed at home by parents or by friends of the family. Many of them has a very low self-esteem and are treated different by a specific group of people. If we talk about female kids, for example, so people say that somehow, so when she grows up, she will be a very beautiful woman. And this group of people is formed by older men. Usually somebody from the family or some strangers that are close to the family. So, and they keep asking themselves, yeah, how these people know it? How these people know that when I grow up, I'll be a beautiful woman. The word mulatto may derive from a Portuguese variant from mula, meaning mule, the hybrid offspring of a donkey and a horse. So are called people who were born from one black parent and one white parent. And for many children, being a mulatto is a worse form than being black. Oh, lucky for you, you are not that black. It's a common phrase heard by them. Around 13, 14, 15 years old, they start to understand what the media says what is a mulatto or a mulatta. Being a mulatta is being the color of the sun. To be a mulatta is to have sensual curves. And mulatto was indeed a term used in the colonial Brazil to describe people who was born from the rape from the houses owners and the slave black women. And that is today a racist term to characterize black women that are light-skinned, curvaceous, and that by a biological determination know how to dance and how to play an instrument, for example. It's very interesting how it fluids our mind. Another question that people make me, Daniel, have you ever suffered racism in your life? Yes, a lot. When a police officer grabs you from behind and throws you on the floor without you doing anything, and having a lot of witnesses watching the scene and other colleagues of this officer looking around, and nobody can do anything. If the people try to defend me, they will be charged by something, and it happened also that they have been charged. Then you ask why you pay so punctually your taxes. Black with white soul. That is a very common phrase used also in Brazil. And of course, I've heard this a lot. A very close friend of mine was punched in the face by a police officer too, because he tried to harass her and she didn't want it and she didn't respond to it. And he punched her in the face and she fell down on the floor, so with bleeding nose. And he said, "So you filthy bitch." Everybody were around and nobody did anything against that. And there are, of course, more episodes pending. Okay, but how is it with dance and music? I really think that nowadays dance and music are very democratic. Everybody that can understand it can open their minds. But when you say, yeah, he is a good dancer or she is a good dancer because she's black or he's black, or he or she is a good singer because she is black or because he is black, black people are supposed to play better the congas or some other drums than white people. Or you say, I'm white, that's why I cannot dance Afro-Cuban dances. And the list of phrases is really long. The Palladium Ballroom in New York was a club, so in the 50s, and it was an example of democratic space for dance and music. And that was in a time that black and white could not frequent the same spaces. Salsa parties and festivals are indeed a real class of democracy in this way. The roots of Latin American dances lie, of course, in Africa. Slave traders knew that black people were physically and mentally stronger, and it's probably one of the reasons why they were violent with these people. The blend of races, music styles, movements, and cultures in dance and music made a great step to the global cultural understanding. A lot of people don't realize how they are influenced by the media, their surroundings, family, and how much influence they can have over other people. Meritocracy works a lot when the people are highly qualified, but not always, of course. But still, it happens a lot of discriminatory experiences in both private and professional spheres. Highly qualified migrants consider themselves affected by discrimination and detrimental segregating behaviors by colleagues and supervisors, sometimes also by clients. It's still a problem that has to be addressed. And gender-based discrimination appears to be a more severe problem than ethnic discrimination. The current world situation nowadays showed us that we have to be more tolerant and cultivate more respect between people, so all the countries, all the cultures, and also nature. Education is an important part in this fight. A kid should learn about emotional intelligence from early on, self-esteem, self-awareness, self-analysis, resilience, perspective, empathy, and respect to all living beings, in order to avoid growing up frustrated and prone to irrational hate. Changing the fundamentals of our education system and what we choose to put value on means cutting the problem on the root instead of planting it, letting it grow, and dealing with the consequences. That is a responsibility of everyone from us that have these values, to make it our life's mission to teach it to younger generations, and that through our own example. This is the only effective way to fight racism in the middle and long term. For the end of this video, I will show you a text from my mother, Janete Maria de Souza, also from Brazil, and I hope you like it. And if you liked the video, please give a thumbs up, please share with your friends, and subscribe the channel. I'm black. I want a country without color, race, discrimination. A country even without an obligatory religion to write on the paper. There is no black with a white soul. Black people change the disgust of this anger on the face that begins to explode. In order to resurrect the deads, massacred as pigs in Africa, here or there, I want to look at the racist, looking himself on the mirror, cutting his wrists and veins in order to check if his blood is blue, and realizes it's red. His blood is fascist, that the black people put on list of what to release. To soften the subject, I say that's nature, which created so much beauty and later regretted it. It may even have been God, with absolute power, called me and said, Janete, go there and tell the world that I'm in mourning.